Okay, our title today is Other Equations, and I'm just going to abbreviate. Other equations, that's the and symbol, not the plus symbol, and expressions. So other equations and expressions. I never abbreviate expressions because most of the time people think that it's exponents if I abbreviate. So, okay. Okay, I'm going to start at the top, go down, and over here, this is going to be kind of a long problem, so I'm not going to go over very far. I'm going to kind of write small. So let me just zoom in there. So it's -3 times the quantity 2 minus x equals 5. Excuse me a moment. Thank you. All right, this is a little bit different than before because if you remember before, what we did is we would just divide it by -3, divide by -3, but this won't come out very even. So it's not a good idea to do that. So we're just going to use distributive property. We'll take the outside times each one inside. Now, remember that this right here is the invisible one. So actually, it's going to be -3 times -1. X, and this will be times 2. All right, so let's go ahead and do that then. So I have 3 times 2 is 6, and there's one negative, so it's a -6. Then I have 3 times 1 is 3, so it's 3x, and there are 2 negatives. When multiplying, 2 negatives cancel, so it is plus. And then I have equals 5. Okay, this is a two-step problem. Let's get rid of the constant, -6, so I will add 6. Do that to both sides. That leaves me with, see this is gone, that leaves me with 3x, because this is 0. 3x equals 5 and 6 makes 11. Next, I want to get rid of the 3. This is times, so I divide both sides. And see, this will become just a 1, 1x. So this is x equals 11/3. 3 goes into 11. How many times does 3 go into 11? 3 times? That's 9. And 2 more would make 11. So see, this is not an integer. This is a rational number. It's 3 and 2/3. And that's okay. Sometimes the numbers are like that. Okay, number 2. Excuse me. Focus. It's -5 times the quantity times whatever's inside here. And that would be 4 minus x equals -7. All right, we have a left and right side. And instead of dividing by -5, because that would be weird, it wouldn't come out right, we will use distributive property. Take the outside times each one inside. And notice that this is the invisible 1 right there. So this is actually -1x. Okay, so multiplying that out, we have 5 times 4, that's 20, and there's one negative. 5 times 1, 1x, is 5x, and there's 2 negatives. We're multiplying, 2 negatives cancel when multiplying. Now we're back to a two-step problem. First, get rid of the constant negative 20. Shut down, dog. So let's see, this is 0, right? And what you have left is just 5x equals, and this is the same thing as 20 minus 7. 20 minus 7 is 13. See, there's more positive. To get rid of the 5, this is times, so I do the opposite. I divide, do the inverse. And if I do that, see, this becomes a 1x. So you're left with x, or 1x equals, and then 13 divided by 5. Let's see. 5 goes into 13 2 times. That's 10. Excuse me, raise it up a little bit. 5 times 2 is 10, and 3 more makes 15. Right? 5 times 2 is 10, 3 more makes 15. So 3 more makes 13, excuse me. It's 13 divided by 5. And that is our answer. It's all right if it's a fraction, no worries. A mixed number, excuse me. Okay, number 3, let me zoom in a little bit. This one's a little bit different. 2x minus 5x minus x plus 10 equals 18. Wow, okay, so the first thing we need to do is, well, let's combine like terms. So let's see, I'm going to do my negative x's first. Notice I have negative 5x and negative 1x. So if I put those together, that's going to give me negative 5x. I'm sorry, negative 6x. 5 negatives and 1 negative makes 6 negatives. Okay, then what we have is, we have our 2x. We have our plus 10. Now I'm kind of doing this a little bit longer. I'm doing an extra step, just because I want you to see how easy it is doing this way. Now let's combine these two together. Negative 6 and positive 2. How much are 6 negatives and 2 positives together? I know there's more negative. That'd be negative 4x. Now I'll just bring the rest down. Okay, now we have a two-step problem. So let's see, I will first get rid of the constant, plus 10. Okay, this will be 0, and you're left with negative 4x, and 18 minus 10 is 8. Now I'll divide by negative 4. Both sides, though, have to be fair. And this will be 1. That's 1. 1x. And on the other side, 4 goes into 8 twice, and there's 1 negative. So the answer is negative 2. So just to recap, what I did is I just put the 2 negatives together. That's 6 negatives, 2 positives, and then I went ahead. You can do this mentally in your mind, obviously in your mind. That's what it's called mentally for. But if you want to, you could skip this step and go right to this step right here. Okay, number 4 is a long problem. You may want to slide it over as far as you can, and then just kind of divide it out, separate it. I should have moved mine over further. Let me zoom in for you. Minus negative 12x minus 20 plus 8x plus 60 plus 10x minus 4x equals 90. Long problem. So where do we start? I think I'll first start by I'm going to put all the negative x's together. So I have this, negative 12x, and I have a negative 4x. Okay, so negative 12 and negative 4. Together, how many negatives is that? 12 negatives and 4 negatives makes 16 negatives. Okay, now let's take a look at the positive x's. We have positive 8x and a positive 10x's. So 8x's and 10x's is 18 x's. Okay, what about our constants? We have negative 20 and positive 60. That's like 60 minus 20. 60 minus 20 is 40. And all that equals 90. I put it over here because I like to keep the equals lined up. So my first step would, oh wait, let's combine these two together right now. I have 16 negatives and 18 positives. That's like 18 minus 16. 18 minus 16 is 2. So 2x plus 40 equals 90. Now we have our two-step problem. I subtract 40. Okay, this is 0. That leaves you with 2x equals 90 take away 40 is 50. And you should be able to see your answer right now, but in case you could not, you would just divide by 2, divide by 2. This is 0, and you're left with x equals half of 25 divided 50 divided by 2 is 25, and that is our answer. 25. Now you may have been able to put the x's together in your mind just easily, like negative 12 and 8 is negative 4, and that 10 makes 6, and 6 minus 4 is 2. You could have done that in your mind, but I find it easier to put all the negatives together, put all the positives together, and then just subtract them. That's easier for me. It may be for you too. Okay, now we're going to do 2 expression problems. So we're going to simplify expressions. We're just going to do 2 of them. So like something like this Now there's nothing to solve. We're not trying to figure out what x is. We're just trying to make this, simplify this, make it look a little simpler. And to do that, we need to do distributive property. This times, that's the invisible 1, and this times the outside times -4. So if I do that, this will end up being 3 times 1 is 3, so that's 3x. 3 times 4, and there's one negative, so it's negative. When multiplying, you count the negatives. And then I'll bring down the plus 3. Okay, now I combine like terms. I see I have 3x. That's the only x's I have, is 3x. And now I have -12 and plus 3. Okay, so you need to combine those together. -12 plus 3 is, there's more negative. 12 take away 3 is 9. There's 9 negatives. Okay, so I combine these two together. And that's all you can do. You're done. This is simplified. There's nothing more to do. There's no equals, we're not solving. Okay, here's our next expression. Our first step is to do distributive property. The outside times each one inside, that's the invisible 1. And then 5 times 4. Okay, so let's see. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. And see, they're both positive, so it's just positive 20. I'll bring the rest down. Excuse me, I'll bring the rest down. Okay, let's combine our x's. Notice that this is a 1x. That's the invisible 1. So let's put those together. 5x and 1x. That would make 6x. 5 and 1 make 6. And then we have our constants, which is 20 and 2. 20 plus 2 is just 22. And that's all we can do. There's nothing more.